Today, I am going to talk about making videos go viral and create a burnout. And it's a really important video if you've watched Vo-Gus prospecting for a long time and want to know why there's been some probably changes you may have never expected to see. And if you're a content creator yourself, perhaps this could be useful for you. As you can see, burnout is a real thing. Burnout and viral videos actually go hand in hand, and we're going to go on a little bit of a deep dive into that. Let's start right at the beginning. You see, one of the biggest problems that content creators have is we are fighting hard against a very complicated algorithm. Let's put this in perspective. Last year in Hollywood, LA, the big movie company of the West, that whole infrastructure, the tens of thousands of people that work within that industry produced 403 movies. Now, given they are longer, they're usually over an hour and a half long, if not longer, they're working with millions of dollars and their production values are generally quite high, even though I could probably argue that a lot of YouTube videos are way more interesting and well put together than what some of Hollywood puts out there, but that's a whole other story. You see, just over 400 videos produced in 1 year. I produced over 130 in the same year. And I'm one person working on a shoestring budget. So the ratio there is again, they're different types of things. I'm a content creator and Hollywood is a big production thing and we make money in different ways and blah, blah, blah. However, we are both making videos for the purpose of entertaining other people. And I find it interesting that content creators make more content than the biggest industries on earth that are actually centered around it. Now, that might seem very unrelated to making videos go viral, but why is that related? Well, it comes down to a few key analytics that we see on the back end of our videos. The first key analytic that you have to get right for a video to go viral is watch time. Now, watch time means how much of a video people actually watch. My channel averages somewhere between 50 and 70%. So the middle of that is 60%. It's a bit wild and all over the place, but the closer you get to 100% watch time, the more the algorithm on YouTube tends to push videos. What that means is I have to make an incredibly engaging video, something that makes you want to see the next bit. This is why they take so long to edit. And we don't always get them right. That's reflected in those analytics. So the watch time percentage is super important. It used to be that if people watched most of your video, say over 70% of your video, YouTube would push it pretty hard, but that's no longer the case because it's not the only analytic that matters. Now, when I talk about watch time percentage, the only way you can get better at that is to make more videos, because you can get a video, you can literally see in the analytics where people dropped off, you can look at what was being discussed or talked about or shown at that point where people dropped off, and in the next video, you can either change it or you can get rid of it or you can put it in a different section and see how that affects the watch time. And that means that you have to make more and more and more videos to make that analytic work for you in your favor. So part of the burnout is because we have to consistently self-edit those videos. We have to go through the process of learning and understanding our audiences, and our audiences change, which brings me to the next analytic that's key. Again, it used to be that YouTube would push videos of creators that had lots of subscribers. If you had a whole bunch of subscribers, you were golden. You didn't have to worry about getting your videos out there as much, because if you had a lot of subscribers, it meant back in the day that YouTube would show you every single video that creator created, and therefore only a few creators ended up having a whole lot of people watching their videos, and all the small channels remained relatively small. And that was due to discovery. So what YouTube ended up doing was they took your subscription to a channel as more of a suggestion that you may be interested in that content. And they used very sophisticated algorithms to go and find other content that other people were watching that was perhaps related, or if you showed a similar search pattern, that you would enjoy seeing, and they would show you those videos. And they would stop showing you videos that the content creator that you subscribe to was creating. Now, that was a really convoluted sentence, but let me sum that up for you. Have you noticed that you haven't seen every one of my videos? If you really like gold prospecting and you really like Vo-Gus prospecting, I can almost with 100% certainty say you haven't seen probably 5 of the last 10 videos that I've published over the last couple of months. And the reason for that is because YouTube is showing you other things to get you engaged in other content. It even goes so far as to unsubscribe you from channels if you haven't engaged with them in a while, which is a little bit annoying because it's relying on the next algorithm. Not the next algorithm, the next analytic. You see, today you can have 100,000 subscribers and you can have 60 or 70% of your video watched every single time, and pretty much not all of your videos will go viral, and that is because of what is called CTR, or the click-through rate. Now, the click-through rate is the #1 most important analytic on YouTube, and this is what creates the most burnout. You see, you have to get people to click on your video for YouTube to push them. It is literally that simple, because you are genuinely showing interest in the content that is being presented to you purely based off the title and the thumbnail. If you then have a video that is engaging, so you watch a lot of it, then YouTube will push it even further. And if you have a lot of subscribers, that's when YouTube will push it further again, because it realizes that your content in general is good. It's meeting all the criteria for YouTube's partner program regulations and rules that it wants you to follow. You're obviously engaged with a lot of people, so it's going to push it out to more of those people's news feeds, because again, they've clicked subscribe and YouTube takes that as just a mere suggestion. What does that mean? It means clickbait. It's that simple. If your CTR, your click-through rate, is low, then you're not going to get a whole lot of views. And it's really important when you're making multiple videos a week and you're doing this as a living to get those views. There's a really fine line between what I would personally consider positive clickbait and negative clickbait. I'm going to explain that. The type of clickbait that is being convoluted into what actual clickbait is lying. So it'd be the equivalent of me putting something like, I found a world record breaking gold nugget in this amazing lost gold mine, and it was like a 5-gram nugget and whatnot. Amazing for me. Amazing for the prospecting community. For most people, finding a 5-gram nugget would be great, but it's certainly not a world record breaking nugget. It's just a personal record breaking nugget to myself. That is lying to your audience, and that shows a very distinct lack of integrity. That is what most clickbait is considered to be. If you hear the word clickbait, the first thing that comes to most people's minds that I've talked to is that the person who's created that thumbnail and that title is lying to you. But there is another type, and it's very important to understand this. The other type of clickbait is called what's creating a knowledge gap. So the most common type of this is actually in the news. Usually I'll see it in my Facebook feed where the news organizations will say something as simple as this: "You won't believe what this father did to his family on Christmas." And you'll be left with the question, what did the father do to his family on Christmas? And you'll click to find out. It's not lying, it's just withholding information from you so that you have to click to find out. That increases their click-through rate, increases their views, and then in turn that increases advertising revenue. Now on that, advertising revenue is not a bad evil thing. You have to remember that we as content creators who do this full time are creating more movies individually each year than Hollywood is. I mean, not everyone, but just on YouTube last year I published over 130 videos. That was just on YouTube. I published a whole bunch more on Smart Engineering. I published a whole bunch more on Facebook. And when I say Facebook, I basically upload every single day. And the majority of them, except for there was a bit of a boo-boo there for a while, the majority of them are brand new individual fresh content to just Facebook. In total, last year, I published almost 1,000 pieces of content across all 3 platforms that I've got running. So to get paid for that is imperative. I cannot do that without being funded. So I know that there are some people out there that look at people making money off YouTube as this big evil thing. It's not. There's nothing wrong with making money. It would be the equivalent of me coming into your work and complaining that you get paid to do the job that you do and the work and the hours and the effort that you put in. So bear that in mind when I say that clickbait generates more views, and more watch time specifically generate more income, and that allows us to keep doing this. So basically, I am left at this point with no choice but to use a version of clickbait on my channels. Now, some people may argue against that, and I understand the reasoning. I have debated and argued with myself personally and over the ethics and the morality of doing it. I spent many years, I've had this channel for almost 7 years now on Vo-Gus prospecting, and I spent the vast majority of it trying to do good quality photography and very accurate titles. And you know what I found? I wasn't getting paid for the work that I was putting in. The very second that you start to use the clickbait titles, the very second you start to use thumbnails that more engage people and their ability to click on that video, the more revenue I started making. And that gave me some freedom to do some of the things that I wanted to do, such as purchase a rock crusher so I could do hard rock. And beyond that, obviously pay all my bills, my electricity, my water, my internet, all the stuff that go into living a modern life in the Western world. I am at a point where it feels like there is no choice but to do this, because to not do this will be to be left behind and have any of the work that I put out there be missed by the people who genuinely already want to see the content, people who have already subscribed, that YouTube isn't going to show my new uploads basically because I'm not getting a high click-through rate. And for total clarity, my click-through rate right now is averaging about 9%, which is not bad. It means 9 out of 100 people are clicking on my thumbnail. But there's a big difference between 9% and say 20%. That is the difference between 20,000 views and 100,000 views. And if you haven't seen Vo-Gus prospecting videos in a while, I strongly suggest you go to the channel and have a look over what you may have missed, as well as any other content creators that you may be considering why haven't they been uploading, because YouTube very well may not be showing you those videos. That's why I have a second channel. That's why I utilize Facebook, to put my content in as many places as possible so I get that reach. So there it is. That's the truth. That is the honest truth about clickbait and why you're seeing the tiles over on Vo-Gus prospecting.